Divesoft Divetalks Live. My name is Jakub. You've probably seen me from our Liberty in Detail series. As you may see, Joe's not around. Joe's actually touring around the US, doing demo dives and showing our Divesoft products and demo diving Liberty all around the US. So this Thursday, we thought we may do something slightly different. I was actually planning having drinks with my good mate, Aron Arngrimsson, who you can see in the other window from the Dirty Dozen. And I thought you guys may find our talk interesting. So what we would like to talk about today is something that's very close to me, which is we're going to have a nuclear talk. So last September, I went to Chernobyl with Aron, which was amazing.
Can we cheers first? You know, I have this lovely dirty dozen cup, not the Divesoft cup.
We need to talk about. We need to explain what we're doing. So we were talking about having drinks. So this is just a casual talk. So I'm drinking some Scottish single malt whiskey, and
I'm having Kruzovic in honor of your country. Yeah,
it's Kruzovic. It's a nice Czech beer, which is being drunk from Divesoft mug.
No, a dirty dozen cup.
No.
Yeah, you just put your sticker over everything. That's what I do.
Yeah, no. Please. You don't. Honestly, to everybody, don't give anything to Aron, otherwise he's gonna put his stickers all over it. They're all over my CCR too.
and there's gonna be a lot more coming when we go to Bikini next year, brother.
Oh, for sure. So cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Nice one. Let's have some fun.
Well, yeah. So last September we went to Chernobyl, and that was amazing, and I think we'll get to it a little bit later. But the other part of the nuclear talk that's super exciting for me too is that I'm gonna be, hopefully, depending on what the situation's gonna be, what's gonna be happening with the current global situation. But next year I'm gonna be ticking off one of my bucket list things, which is gonna be us going to Bikini Atoll for 2 weeks. So, man, I can't wait. So I'd like to talk about that. So, Bikini Atoll. But before we get onto that, we've been in sort of quite a regular, communication with each other. But how's life been with you?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Oh. Sorry, man. But no, how's life been treating you? You've based yourself in Kiev now.
Yeah, so I've been finding myself in Kiev since February, right after our last 2 expeditions at the beginning of the year in Truk in Myanmar. So we just arrived at the airport and had our temperature taken. We had a new apartment, and that was it. That was lockdown. What's that, like 7 months ago? So yeah, I've been in Kiev. I've been keeping really busy. I found lots of new hobbies, which have been fun.
Yeah, I heard they're pretty loud, yeah?
Yeah, 3D printers and guns. But there's on the working front. I mean, I was up at 5 o'clock this morning for the first meeting, and I literally just finished now at 8 p.m. before our chat. So crazy enough, as busy as ever, if not more actually. And I think there's some kind of tipping point happening at the moment. And I think before we all know it, we're going to be out there having a lot of fun again soon.
Man, I'm like totally not surprised, because with the type of trips that you're running, and with the feeling that we all must have in terms of like, I just want to go for holiday and I want something really nice to look forward to. Yeah. And just to get out, have a good time, do some nice diving. I would imagine that you'd be, flat chat. People would be,
I think
because you must be booked out like ahead.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of FOMO going on, fear of missing out, because unfortunately, obviously, there have been some cancellations this year, not only on my trips, but on the boats throughout the year, right? And if you take into account how many hundreds of people that creates in backlog for all the destinations, diving destinations around the planet, that's all being dumped, onto the following year and 22 and so forward. So I'm in the extremely fortunate position to have a very huge number of dates to offer our customers to Truk and Bikini and the rest of it. So I was able to accommodate, the cancellations I had to do quite easily, very quickly, following year or within less than a year. But then we start sending out these newsletters, every Friday. Remember to sign up on the webpage if you want, guys, to get a news every Friday. But we were saying, Bikini 21 is sold out. We're only selling 22 now already. And like now we're in September 2020 and I'm getting ready to start selling 23. I mean, it's that bad. So if that's any indication,
yeah.
So people have to get on the horse now if they want to get there in the foreseeable future. Now's the time to plan.
Yeah. And I mean, 2022, to be honest, it's probably the safest bet. I'm, obviously hoping everything's gonna go fine next year, and I think, fingers crossed, it'll all be good. But it's those trips are trips of a lifetime, and I had my experience to go with you in September, and even that it was for not that such a long time. We spent 4 days together, but it was epic. So dive trips, apart from people like Matt Javin, nobody really. I haven't heard people complaining massively. So I think it'll be all right.
It'll be fine. We'll take good care of you. Don't
worry. No. Just the best stuff, man. Honestly, it's the organization and everything has been top notch. And when obviously we've been talking and stuff, when we are talking about dive safety and everything, what you told me in terms of checklists and getting in the water checklist and all that kind of stuff, making sure even that you are dealing with, in many cases, with extremely experienced divers and, instructors, trainers. Everybody's going through the same routine of, trying to make sure everybody's, safe there.
I mean, the age-old saying about checklists, we created two, which was the packing checklist for Truk and Bikini, which for some reason sounds like everybody should know, but we made it with Lundgren, Jill Heinerth, and Adam Handlin. So Adam came in there for the photography part of it, and people have found it extremely useful because I've seen it all. You come on the boat, there's 12 CCR divers, super excited to get started. And then, they're on the boat, they're setting up, their rebreather. And then I see the look of fear. And I kind of walk over and I go, is everything okay? And they're like, I forgot my counter lungs. And it's happened. People have forgot the weirdest parts. And the ones that maybe seemed obvious. But, life happens. The kids are maybe running around. Maybe they nicked it out of the bag. You never know. Most of the time, we're able to outsource the parts, even in an extreme location, just because somebody maybe has the same rebreather or whatever. But many times we can't. So, especially in Bikini, it's much worse sourcing parts there, obviously. So we created that checklist, and then the splash checklist. And it's funny that you mention all this now, because before we had the conversation as well, I've been the last couple of days been building a knowledge base. So all the archives I have on my laptop, on my hard drives, all the PDFs, all the publications from universities about Bikini, the radiation, everything there is about the wrecks, in both locations. Whatever I have in terms of videos and the rest of it, we're uploading it on the website under a link that's called Knowledge Base, and we're releasing it now on Friday. So if somebody wants to do some in-depth, hardcore research about Truk and Bikini, that's going to be a page you want to visit above and beyond from what we already have. And if you've sent us an inquiry, you'll get the password with the newsletter. If not, you should go and send an inquiry and we'll send you the password on Friday.
Ben, and like honestly, your page is like already pretty awesome, super informative, particularly about Bikini, because that's the one I follow the most.
Yeah, right.
Is each rack is like quite like super explained into detail. You got like a gallery about each one of them. You even do your little competition with I love that because I like, so for everybody else listening to our chat, so you see people's pictures, and one of the famous pictures is the picture from the dentist office, yeah. So Aron's got these big maps of layouts of USS Saratoga on the webpage. You can download them.
Yeah,
and
the visual schematics,
yeah, exactly. And it's decks and decks and decks and rooms, and you can just, every room is written, in like, it used to be written by hand, or and there's, every room's named. And I say, where's the sick ward, and where is the dentist office? And he was like, well, find it for me. I'm not telling.
Yeah, literally find it on the schematics.
It took me like ages to go through the decks, because it's not just like looking at one level. Like you got multiple levels going down.
Hundreds of rooms, brother.
And then you kind of once you find the room itself, then you sort of start tracing the way to try to figure out how the hell did you get there, and who was the person that was the first one that was trying to get in there. And when I spoke with you, you said it's a fair bit of weight to get in there. You got to go some levels down.
I can actually, I have an hour presentation, which I'm obviously not going to show you now, but I have a part of it is about Bikini, and a part of it is about a chosen wreck, and I actually picked the Saratoga. So what we could do is that we could run through the pictures. I can share the screen. We can run through the pictures if you want. But the way I like to, let's see if I can figure this out. Can you see this, guys? Or Jacob, can you see this?
Yep.
Okay. So here we have the Saratoga, and I think like the best analogy I can give about this wreck is maybe if you imagine you've had the zombie apocalypse, right? That's like everybody's big fantasy. It is mine anyway. And you're walking around, the ruins downtown, and you come across, a huge shopping mall, and obviously, like in every zombie movie, you decide to go inside. So what is the first thing you're going to see when you walk inside? You're going to see lots of different levels, right? That's what usually a shopping mall is. Many different levels with hundreds and hundreds of rooms. There's stuff everywhere because, it's been a big mess, a big riot and the rest of it. And usually the electricity is not on. And that's the kind of the same feeling you're going to find on the Saratoga, because if you look at the next picture here, that's one of the pages from the from the schematics that you were talking about.
That's exactly where I was starting off, trying to find the dentist office in this. And that didn't work.
Yeah, no, it's not too easy. But if I take you through the dive, as soon as you get down to the flight deck, you have these beautiful 6-inch guns kind of greeting you. As you go down the elevator shaft, that's kind of where all the penetrations open up to you. We created this slide just as a reference for divers.
This is perfect, man.
When they wanna plan their penetration. So you have the dive locker, you have the crew quarters, you have the blacksmith, you have the scullery up there at the top. And then where the diver's going in, that's a big penetration on many levels, where up one of them goes to the sick ward where the dentist is, and then you have the CIC, the Command Information Center, on top. So yeah, this diver in the picture here, He's going into the dentist. I'm not sure the following pictures are gonna like follow him all the way, but yeah, that's where he's going. There's the Divesoft arrow.
Right. So that's this one, and
it's still there. I promised I would leave it there for you.
No, I'm gonna go and collect that one and replace it with a new one. I wanna have a USS Saratoga, era.
I just don't expect it to be red now.
we did a competition it was a thing on Facebook that we did because I love this picture so much. And basically what we did is, where is this picture? Like, what wreck is this picture in?
Sure.
So we used it, but we had to reverse the picture because nowadays, if you put the picture in Google can actually find it.
Yeah, that's
so we had to mirror it, and then it can't find it. So then, a dude won I think it was a T-shirt or something like that. But it was awesome. I can't remember, but yeah, it was a lucky guess.
So if I tell you a little bit more about this wreck quickly before I go out of this, you can see there was the dentist chair that's in the dentistry there. It's absolutely spectacular. It's almost like you could sit down and have an appointment. There's the famous dive helmets in the dive locker. Obviously, you got some inert bombs everywhere.
So
Hellcats. You have what's that?
So my question is, right? Like you shoot. You shoot way more than I do, but I shoot as well.
Yeah.
And when we spoke, you said that by the time you're leaving even if you're like super precise with your buoyancy and your finning, the buoyancy, obviously there's like a whole bunch of silt, everything gets stirred up. Yeah. How do you arrange those shots? Do you like pre-plan everything, or do you what's the plan, like to take a shot like that? What's the plan to do that?
There's kind of, when I go for a dive, I definitely make up my mind what I'm doing. If I'm making the shot, or if I'm going with other divers using them as models, because you have to remember these trips don't come cheap. I mean, you know that firsthand. And the last thing you want to do when you're on your 5-figure holiday is some donkey that's running the trip telling you what to do in the water so he can get a perfect picture. You see what I mean? So it's a compromise where I'll be taking the divers for a relatively easy penetration. Sometimes some of the harder ones, actually. It really depends on the situation, how many we are in the group and stuff. But the lights will always be on board, i.e. on the camera itself. And I'll just take 30,000 lumens with my rig. 15,000 to 15,000 each, right? And then if I'm doing some of the bigger shots, like the Nagato shot, which I can quickly share the screen to here. So if you're talking about this shot here, you can see it.
This is like...
I did this shot.
So this is Ante, right?
Yeah, it's Ante, yeah. So you were with him in Chernobyl.
Yeah, so we went to Chernobyl together. Man, yeah.
So when me and Jeff were taking this shot, I mean, I think we needed 150,000 lumen to get all the light we needed. So basically, we went down on the Nagato, and this is obviously an immensely famous ship, and this is one of the main attractions, the biggest guns in the world at the time when the ships were made. It's the vessel where Admiral Yamamoto, launched the war on Pearl Harbor from. So, immense importance. But here we are. We know we're doing a couple of dives on the ship. So on the first dive in a row, in the first dive, we go and see many of the highlights. But at the end, we spend 20 or 30 minutes of bottom time at 60 meters, just setting up, the lights in the perfect position and testing them, like 100,000 lumens or something. And then we turn them off, and then we go up, do our 5-hour service interval or whatever. And then we go back down. And then it's just a matter of putting the lights on quickly and being super planned about how you do the shot. And I mean, obviously with the depth and the time you have, it's very good to have a model that is very good at what they do. And Ante in this instance, I mean, he's from the Divers of the Dark. If you remember
Yeah.
the old commercials with Fourth Element from like 15 years ago. That's what inspired me to do technical diving, was Hell's Gate in Oyama Mine.
Yeah.
You know, when they were on the Fourth Element advertisements on the back of dive magazines. I mean, that inspired me to do tech, and that was Antti in that photo. So it was quite symbolic that we went and returned and did that on the Nagato. But it came out really well. It went on the magazine.
When you talked about the number of lumens, I was funny. I just can't remember who said that now, but like on Joe's Thursday dive talks, I can't remember who he had. There was he had but I remember this quote, and the quote was you have to use a lumen bitch. So you find a volunteer who's able to carry your lights around and just bitch around and, you know, be the one. And I was fortunate enough to be Becky Keegan-Schott's lumen bitch, or one of them.
Lumen donkey.
Well, in your case, I'm gonna be a lumen donkey probably.
Yes.
But we went to the wreck of Empty Haven in near Genoa. There was the huge tanker. It's like one of the biggest wrecks in
nice.
Europe. And we were just doing she was doing some shooting there, and I was lumen bitching around. So it was cool. But no, it'd be awesome to do some shots in bikini. But there was there's one thing that has been sort of like a question that I've had for like ages. And that is, okay, right. So what's the, on a good day, what's the viz in bikini? What sort of viz are you getting?
Oh man, you can get some great days. I mean, obviously it's a lagoon, so overall during the season is very consistent, but there are days that are better than others. And I have some shots especially from the destroyers, because it's all about size, right? Destroyers are quite thin, so to speak, and not so long. So on a clear day and you descend down, you can get some fantastic wide angle shots. We're talking 40, 50 meters, something like that, something crazy.
So, right. So the question is, the wrecks are all around 60 meters, more or less. The bottom is around 60 meters. Mm-hmm. My question is, right, Nagato is a pretty big ship. Yeah. As we know, Saratoga stands upright.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you see them from the surface?
No, so the only vessel you can see from the surface is the Prince Eugen, but the Prince Eugen is not in bikini; it's in Kwajalein.
Sorry, that's not what I mean. Unless. But
you mean from the waters?
That's right. Yeah. So if you're about to descend, you hop in the water, you look down. Can you see Saratoga, or can you see?
Yeah. You can see
sort of like a shade of the of Nagato.
Yeah, you can definitely see some of the wrecks as you descend. No, yeah, in the Saratoga definitely, because Saratoga starts around 20 meters on the flight deck.
That's like so incredible. I've been.
It's nuts, man. It's phenomenal when you're swimming across that flight deck, coming to the command information center and the rest of it, and all of a sudden a huge tiger shark just swims by you, and you're like, ooh, nuclear tiger sharks and 6-inch guns, and it's always a little bit too much. It's overwhelmingly good diving. That's the problem.
Man, like for me, this is why I started diving.
It is definitely.
I love history, and I love like World War II stuff in particular. And when I was a kid, I was like maybe 10. I watched this documentary about those divers diving in Bikini Lagoon, and it was this like really old video of guys diving those wrecks, and I got like so amazed by that. And I was like, well, that's the place I really want to go, and that
must have been James Delgado and the National Park Service back in the day when they were doing the survey.
It probably was actually. Yeah.
I'm in touch with him frequently. He's the one that gave me the schematics to begin with. He's a lovely guy, fantastic guy.
Man, it's so like it's just out of this world. But when you
cheers, by the way.
Because sorry.
Yeah, you're really listening.
Jeez, man, we're talking too much. But the thing is, it's like when you there is not that many battleships around that you can come and dive, and the thing with battleships is like when they sink, they turtle, because of the, you know, they're heavy on top, so they turn to turtle. And then the turrets fall down, and then they go down, and most of the battleships you find them upside down. Whereas like if you look at the Bismarck, and this is what I heard, I don't actually know, well, I guess it probably makes sense. Bismarck is like, I think 4.8 kilometers deep or something like that. Sure. Supposedly when the ship rolled over and then sunk, eventually because of the hydrodynamics the ship eventually rolled over and then dropped down on the bottom, but it obviously needs some way to travel for it to roll over. Those wrecks that are accessible to us are all upside down. I was planning on going to do the Repulse and the Prince of Wales.
Good choice, while it's still there.
Well, that's the thing. I have heard that unfortunately those wrecks are not there anymore. Yeah, and it's like a super sad. This is a thing that actually makes me like quite sort of like upset. Yeah, that the wreck looters are attacking those ships, but I mean, there is not that many places in the world where you can actually dive battleships, and
it's just such a stark contrast, in Bikini.
Oh, by the way, this is just to interrupt. Oh yeah. This is last time,
Last time we were drinking together.
Last time we were drinking together.
In February.
Yeah. The rest of the time of us drinking was actually over the phone. Yeah, big group sessions with Matt Jevon and your team from Dirty Dozen.
After the Coming Clean episodes, we have after parties.
Yeah, after parties, exactly. Yeah. New way of drinking, yeah.
So, I mean, that's like one of the stark contrasts. Like, when people ask me, so you do Truk and Bikini, aren't they? Tell me the difference. Aren't they kind of the same? It doesn't really matter which one I do first. Does it? It actually, everything I just said is completely wrong. And they couldn't be more black and white if you tried, because the vessels in Truk are like 9 out of 10, literally, are merchant vessels. So you're gonna find 9 merchant vessels, and then the occasional, destroyer or the occasional submarine, or whereas in Bikini, up to 50 vessels, but in Bikini, it's exactly the opposite. You have exactly 10 vessels, and 9 of them are Navy vessels, and there's 1 merchant vessel. So it's like the exact black and white opposite of the two.
That's the Carlisle, yeah? Or Carlisle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Truk is 70% in recreational depth. So, you can be in advanced open water with deep specialty and do 70% of Truk, whereas you could do 0% of Bikini. You need to be a Normok 6 CCR diver to do Bikini. But, with Mod 2 in Truk, you can do everything and more, simply. So again, big contrast. And the difficulty as a wreck diver, like I would always recommend people to visit Truk first and gain experience if they're not already experienced wreck divers before going to Bikini. Because like you said, upside down battleships or turtle battleships are not the easiest things to do a wreck penetration on. An aircraft carrier is not the easiest thing to do a wreck penetration on. Especially when they've been sitting for over 70 years and collecting, rust dust that is this fine, and nobody stirs it up except you, and then it's just it's definitely a different difficulty level than Truk, because that's very easy penetrations. Merchant vessels with big openings, and quite open engine rooms as well. So yeah, that's the big difference, I think.
I watched this drawing. I had a look at this drawing, which was a drawing of a state of Saratoga, probably about 10 years ago, and then a drawing from maybe 3 years ago. Yeah. And you can actually start to, you can see a significant deterioration on its hull. And all those, like, I did most of my diving in Australia, and we were diving wrecks that were sort of like wrecks from the 20th century. So you see like huge deterioration on those wrecks, and you see a wreck from the 50s, and you know, the state of preservation on that, and then the wreck from like, you know, beginning of the, you know, 20th century. And yeah, there's not that much left, and it really like leaves you with the question of, you know, how quickly, how long are they gonna stay there for? And really, it's when, and also I watched this video. There's this video of these guys diving bikini, and it's a fairly old video, and they're going through the inside of one of the rooms, and the guy is just swimming through. They're doing this penetration, and they're going under these like wrecks, like torpedo wrecks or something like that. And it basically like just like lets go and like crashes on top of him. And it just like falls on top of him, and then he's sort of like, he's unhurt, so he kind of like keeps going, but all of a sudden there's this, you know, the silt goes everywhere, but the cameraman behind him just keeps following him, so they get out of there. But that's like 10 years ago, and now you wonder, like, really, if you do want to see this, the sooner the better, because you're gonna get more out of it. Because I remember when I read like a few years ago that the aircraft hangar caved in, and prior to that, there was like
a lot of the planes were still there. A lot has changed. But when you look, you know, when you look at wreck deterioration, I'm not going to go into all of it now, and that's a whole lecture in itself. But there are certain factors that you have to look into. So obviously, you have to look at the age of the vessel in total. I mean, how long has it been submerged? Is it in fresh water? Is it in salt water? Has it been dived a lot? You know, are people blowing nitrox bubbles up into the ceiling? They're sitting there. Are they touching everything? So, you know, the protective layer comes off and it starts rusting again and oxidizing and the rest of it. Or there are many, you know, was there a fire on the ship when it sank, so the metal is weak? You know, there are tons of factors like this that play into wreck deterioration. And the nuclear blast, you know, it's the one of its kind. You're not going to find that kind of factor anywhere else, fortunately, should I say. So it's kind of an unknown. But what I can tell you is that some of the deterioration I've seen on the Saratoga has just been spectacularly frightening. And this is not talking like when you're doing long penetrations, like inside the vessel when you're doing the rooms and stuff. I mean, I haven't seen many places that were sketchy on that part, but when you're on the outside, specifically in the elevator shaft, there's just this humongous plate of metal that is literally hanging off the aircraft carrier, and it's just kind of waving in the air. And we're talking about, like, that thing is massive. You get hit by that, you're gonna get knocked out, you know? And I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. It's just so weird. Like, on one hand, it's solid as a rock, but like you say, the depression in the flight deck and this, you know, beam just rolling around, it really is something else.
So, what's the okay? So if we take this from the beginning, and this is like super exciting. This whole thing, gathering information, right? So when obviously, like, logistics to I went to one of your talks, and you were talking about what it's like to get to Truk opposed to
I remember that
Bikini.
talk. That was because I was drinking with you the day before. I felt horrible.
No, that was the other talk. That was the other talk. I won't mention that one. No, but at this talk, the sober talk, was when basically getting to and I've been to Truk, and it's, you know, it's thing on its own to get there. It's not the easiest thing, but you kind of get there. But you said that getting to Bikini, it's a you know, it's another kettle of fish. So obviously logistics in terms of getting your, you know, we are CCI divers, so we wanna get all our stuff there. And if something, because, you know, it's a lot of flights, a lot of logistics, if something gets stuck somewhere along the way, you do want to give yourself enough time. So how do how do you? So what's your tip to do this safely in terms of logistics?
Well, the first thing I'll ask you, Jacob, have your two email addresses both unsubscribed from our weekly newsletter?
No. No.
You need to look in your inbox, brother, because one of our recent weekly posts, which is on our blog as well, and on our website, 30dozenexpeditions.com, is called Insider's Guide to Truk Lagoon and Bikini Atoll. And that's kind of where me and my content creator, Vic, we just sat down for quite a few hours and wrote down all these like golden tips that you need to keep in mind for both these destinations, which is normally something I brief people on in private, because it's so much information. There's no point in putting it on a website. It just confuses people. But there is one thing about Bikini that you need to remember, and it's very important. And that's the luggage that you're packing. I highly recommend putting like not even an A4 paper, like A3, like just a big ass piece of paper, and laminating it with the letters KWA, which is Kwajalein, which is the airport you wanted to land at, okay? And so you laminate that piece of paper with that on, and then you, like, I don't know, tape it onto your luggage so it does not fall off. And the reason you're doing that is because when you go on the Island Hopper, which is a United Airlines flight that flies from Hawaii to Guam, Guam to Hawaii, it jumps on many different locations on the way to each final destination. And what does that mean for the luggage compartment on the airplane? It means that the luggage compartment on the airplane is divided into, I don't know, 7 different sections or whatever. It depends on how many landings they're doing on the way, right? Stops. You know, where they put the luggage in the KWA section, the, TKK section, and the rest of it. And things go wrong, and they go wrong often. It's happened to me once. On my first trip to Bikini, my rebreather didn't show up, so one of my bags was missing. Luckily I was arriving 3 days before, so the plane managed to go all the way to Guam and then come back and bring it on the way back. However, so I was super lucky. However, if I had not arrived early and the boat would have left the same day, they would have not waited for me, because the boat has to steam 27 hours to get to Bikini. So, you know what? They're not going to wait, and lose a day because you lost your luggage. They're
especially not for you.
Right. So this whole premise, then you're just going to dive on a twin set in Bikini, which, you're going to be very grumpy. So that's a gold tip, is to plaster your luggage so the boys know exactly where to put it and when to take it off, more importantly, because they don't have a lot of turnover time to do it. The second piece of advice is to arrive in Kwajalein 2 days early, at the earliest. You're going to be shipped onto a tiny island called Ibai. You're going to be in there's only one hotel. It's not 5-star. I don't know what star it is. You're going to be looking at the ceiling.
We're divers, man. We don't stand 5 stars.
But just think about this: diving on a twin set in Bikini. Oh my God! Because I've had groups email me that were not on my trips, and they told me, Aron, there was 12 of us and 6 of us didn't get our luggage. They were in rental wetsuits in a twin set with borrowed rags, and oh my goodness, helium at 22 cents a liter when you're open circuit.
Like, what's the what else? See, and this is the thing, and this is what I tell people. By the way, I sell rebreathers for a living, but
rebreathers.
Anyway, we're not gonna. There may be other people listening. I'm not gonna get into like whose rebreather's better. But anyway, oh, by the way, we've got a new one, and it's 15.3 kilos travel.
Oh yeah, the Liberty Light.
It's Liberty Light, and it's a back-mounted unit, and it's like honestly, it's like a single tank, man. It's like I'm just like I'm in total love Like it's just like single. Anyway.
Oh, I saw it at Boot. It looked wonderful.
No. Seeing it is a one thing. Diving it, it's the other. It's just like you just like pop it on. It's just like it's my single tank and your CCR. You hook all your tanks on it, all your bailout bottles, everything, and like off you go, do your CCR dive. And then the Liberty head's got 5 kilos. So if you take it in your carry-on, and we're just now working on a carry-on case, you got 10 kilos, 10.3 kilo CCR. It's like put your. I'm a jet fin guy, so you check your jet fins, you whatnot, chuck it all in there, and you just keep going. But where were we? What was I saying there?
I don't know.
Lost luggage.
Yeah, no, just golden tips. Arrive early and do the little sticker thing for bikini. And
Yeah. Well, the thing is like what. I watched. There is actually places to dive in Kwajalein, yeah, because they've got these. There is this aeroplane wreck yard. That's I think they dump like a whole bunch of airplanes. It's like a lot, and they all dump them. They're all like 40, 45 meter ish, and you
they're
can
pretty
go.
Epic. There's like an airplane graveyard right next to Prince Eugen. Yeah.
So this is close to Prince Eugen, yeah.
Yeah.
So how far is Prince Eugen from the actual place that you'll be staying in? So you land in Bikini, you get in a hotel.
When you land in Kwajalein, and you go
Kwajalein.
Yeah, and you go to Ibai Island, which is like 10 minutes on a ferry from Kwajalein, because Kwajalein is an army base and you're not allowed to be there. Then technically from Ibai, you're half an hour, 45 minutes from the plains and Prince Eugen for that matter. It's all in the lagoon. So that's why when we go to Bikini, we actually start with going to Prince Eugen, do a warm-up dive there, make sure everybody's stuff is fine for 2 reasons. Reason 1, it's the Prince Eugen. We're going past it. Of course, we're going to dive it. The second reason is it would be wise to just really make sure everybody has their stuff before we do the long haul up north. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
When we're in Prince Eugen, we're very close to where we started. So if somebody's like, oh my God, my rebreather head is at the hotel, they're going to owe a lot of beers, but at least we can go back and get it. So, yeah.
Oh, actually, speaking of Prince Eugen, how's your beer doing?
Yeah, it's good. Thanks. In my Dirty Dozen mug.
Did you, how do you like the inside of the mug?
Oh yeah, it's very pretty.
It's actually very similar to the mug, to the Divesoft mug that I've got at
work.
work.
No.
Hey, and actually, by the way, your sticker is starting to peel off.
Yeah, but it's been in the dishwasher like 300 times.
So it means that you make quality stickers, yeah?
Yeah, they're really good.
So our instructor trainer, our factory instructor trainer, Jakub Szymanek.
Yes.
That's him on that mug.
He was eternalized.
That's him inside. Yeah, I submerge him every day. We consider it as a log dive, and I submerge him in a coffee. The visibility not too good, but pretty standard for the Czech Republic, and Czech Republic diving, and so logging dives that way. But the Prince Eugen, it's so you would do 1 or 2 dives on it.
It depends, one thing that's great about Dirty Dozen is, although we always have a plan, no group is the same, and people always have special preferences, whether they really enjoy submarines or destroyers or merchant vessels for that matter. That everybody's got some kind of fetish, so to speak. And we, being the Dirty Dozen, we try and accommodate all of them.
So the name is really fitting, yeah?
On each of our cruises, yes, indeed. Sometimes we get people that really want to dive the Prince Eugen more than a couple of times, and as long as there is adequate democracy that says let's do it on board, then there's no problem for us to do it, as long as it doesn't grossly interfere with the schedule. I think, Jacob, you said you had some pictures of Prince Eugen. Let's have a look at that.
Yeah, sure, man.
Because it's one of the vessels you really want to see.
So I found this picture. I don't know how old it is. It's probably written in a corner, knowing me.
Beautiful.
No, it's not. But anyway, I think either it's after Prince Eugen being fixed up and refurbished, or it's one of the early shots, because if you look at the front, the turret number 1, it doesn't have barrels on it.
Yeah, sure.
But the picture is actually quite a high resolution, and when you actually look at it like a old film, it's quite amazing, like how much quality you can get out of it.
It's not easy to find these pictures these days.
But what's super interesting about this ship, and that's kind of like what I wanted to bring out, is like two things. One of the things is like, obviously because of after the First World War, Germany was not allowed, due to the treaty, to build bigger ships than 10,000 tons, which Prince Eugen kind of was, unless it had older stuff on it. Yeah. So when you added older stuff, it turned out to be from 10,000 tons to 19,000 tons. So it's a fairly big ship. And the other thing is, obviously, as probably the wreck nuts know, it was a ship that was a companion. It was a companion to Bismarck. While obviously, the Ally tried to, started a raid to try to sink it, and it got some issues with I think its engine, and it had to return to the port to get fixed up, and then Bismarck went on its way, and ended up the way it ended up. But Prince Eugen survived the war. And the thing that I was sort of thinking about when we were talking about is like, it's such a significant shipwreck. It's like, isn't it a little bit kind of like skipped over, just because it's just on the way there? Let's do the checkout dive on it. What are the run times that you get on it, or how can you penetrate it? Because obviously everything's upside down. And
it's quite a good question, actually. You can stop sharing the screen now, so we can see each other. It's quite a good question, because people assume that Prince Eugen is going to be quite deep when it's actually not. I don't know if I can quickly find the photo.
That's why you wanted me to stop sharing the screen, because you wanted to share the screen, yeah?
Something like that. I mean, if you have a look at this picture right here, this is what you're going to see once you leave. Oh, damn it! Leave Kwajalein. You're going to see. Where did I go? Just a second, guys.
Is this your cellar, Aaron?
What's that? Can you see this?
Is this your cellar?
Oh yeah, it's a picture I took on the phone. It's my screensaver. So yeah, when you're leaving Kwajalein, and this is something I remember very vividly, and I saw this the first time. The amount of goosebumps that just ran through the entirety of my body. Just thinking about the importance of the ship, everything it had done, and then seeing, the prop sticking out so vividly in the water. It was just a very eerie and crazy feeling. And it is for a lot of the wreck geeks that are on this boat, they feel the same. It's not just your everyday vessel. It's a very special ship. So beautiful feeling when you come up and you see it. And it's a great checkout dive as well, because you're gonna find yourself at 30 odd meters, so it's not the deepest wreck either, and you can do quite fun penetrations on it as well. So there's lots of stuff to be done. When we went on our first expedition there, we were the last people to dive it for a year, because they were removing 200,000 gallons of oil or something from it. A lot.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That was like last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
maybe 2 years ago.
2018. Was it 250,000 liters? Probably not gallons. Yeah, so it was a lot anyway. There was a ton of oil that was being removed by the military. It was being hot tapped.
Look at what you've done.
Yeah, you've hot tapped yourself.
I'm gonna have to visit my Scottish friends.
There you go. Go see my dad up in Scotland.
Yeah.
But that's also quite a stark contrast, from Truk and Bikini. In Bikini, you're going to find that a lot of the wrecks still have a lot of oil on them because they were sunk in the pretense that they were ready for war. So 70 to 90% bunkered with oil. Whereas in Truk, it was a Navy base, but it was also a repair anchorage. And when you're repairing vessels, you don't keep them full of oil. They're usually quite empty, if anything.
So what's the status? Because this was actually one of the things that I actually discussed with someone, and that's obviously there's not that many people in Bikini. Well, there's nobody pretty much apart from like few people maintaining the facilities there. But like in terms of Bikini, you've got in terms of Truk, you've got it's fully functional, state. So, but obviously like environmental disaster type of, and obviously those wrecks are on the edge of like, a big storm or something like that could cause, major breaking in the wrecks, and also due to them being so shallow. What is the, what has somebody done like a proper study on, or do you know if somebody has done like a proper study on like how much oil they actually contain? Because I remember like I went there probably 6 years ago, and I remember like we did Nippo Maru, and we ascended, and we were sitting in an oil patch. I remember putting my rag in my mouth, and it just tasted like oil. And it's actually really beautiful on photos because you swim. I think it was Hoki, or I can't remember which one it was, but we're swimming over the trucks, and you have this mist over the
aviation fuel you can find in the Hoki.
Yeah. And it makes you think. Yeah.
So Matt Carter from the Major Projects Foundation.
Matt's awesome.
He's obviously been in Truk already, done some research. Me and him are in touch. Both of us we have some projects and some ideas for Bikini in the future. But to tell you the hard, honest truth, there's a lot more resources than me and Matt that are needed for Bikini. I mean, obviously the military stepped in Kwajalein, but that's also because it was close to an army base.
But I meant
Bikini is completely remote. In Truk, well, it's one of those things where the government has to consider if it's valuable enough if prevention is better than cure for the future. Because you're right, it's only a matter of time. I mean, the vessels are already leaking oil, and you can already see slicks coming from the water. But it's not substantive enough to be environmental disaster. But it's definitely only a matter of time before something happens. That's clear as day for everyone, I think. And we can only hope that the authorities that have the resources, the money, and the equipment will take action soon. I certainly am 100% advocating for that to happen in Truk and Bikini as soon as possible.
Well, speaking of Bikini, because I had met Jevon over recently, he came to visit me, and by the way, man, like we made Matt's bacon. He told us how to make bacon, and so that's one thing. But the other thing is we made Matt's burgers, and you buy this like you buy two types of beef mince. You get one minced twice over, and then one just like minced once, and then you buy bone marrow. So you buy a beef shin, and it gets like sliced, like, laterally, and you basically like scrape out the marrow with your spoon and make burgers out of it, and they make them super juicy, and they're like incredible, man. So thanks, Matt. But Matt was here, and I was always wondering, because I went to Truk about 5 years ago. We were diving on open circuit, and we Yeah, we're having an OC, and we were land based. And I was thinking, I saw the liveaboard boat in the lagoon there, and I'm like, well, why would you stay on a liveaboard when you can stay on the land and you can just come back from a dive, have a walk around, and go for a proper lunch, and kind of just like hang out in like under the palm trees, right?
Sure.
But I had a chat to Matt, and Matt goes like, well, like, why do you go there? And I'm like, well, I go there for diving, yeah? He was like, yeah, well, so you want to get most of your diving, right? And I'm like, yeah. It's like, well, imagine you can just like, right, how does the schedule work when you go of a land-based operation? So you get on a boat, there's a whole bunch of people on a boat, and you go to the wreck, and you go and you do your bottom time. Bottom time is somewhat relative to what everybody else wants to do. So, you don't restrict somebody else, and, you get the most out of what you want.
It depends what group you're in, but sure. Okay.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. But basically, he turned it around and he explained it to me in another way, which I actually really liked. And that was, well, because the liveaboard obviously moves, and it can move. It anchors over the wrecks, yeah?
Yeah.
So if you want to get a proper bottom time on your wreck, you go down, and you and your buddy go down, and you can do your bottom time. Even if you decide, hey, I really want to do, and this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you decide you want to do a longer bottom time, you can do that, and you come back straight up to the boat. And
yes and no, because I think
I'm not coming on one of your boats if you say this wrong, Aaron.
What I will tell you is that there's nothing wrong with doing either land-based or liveaboard. Both have their plus and minuses, hands down.
And I'm not saying that, by the way.
No, but I think when you're saying some of the disadvantages, saying if you're on a skiff, then you would be time restricted with less certified divers on the skiff because they're on the same dive center as you. Well, that's the same on a liveaboard normally. When you have a liveaboard and you jump on a random date, you're going to have people coming that are open water divers, extended range, Mod 2 CCR. It's going to be all over the shop with experience levels. And people usually, huddle up in their own groups, but everybody's going to be restricted by the lowest denominator. Just because they want to do, a 3-hour dive on some wreck, that's not going to work if the boat's doing a recreational schedule. But that's the whole part of why we created the Dirty Dozen, because I used to live there for a year and a half, and I was running a boat, and I used to own a tech diving center before being on that boat for 5 years. So I knew the demands of techies, especially very demanding techies. So we were able to equip the boat to handle very demanding open circuit and rebreather divers efficiently, and be able to give them exactly what they want when they've spent all that money and effort getting to a place like Truk. And that means putting people on the same experience level, 12 of them together on a boat that caters 16, reduced occupancy, and does a custom rebreather itinerary to all the wrecks that are related to something that rebreather divers or tech divers are interested in doing. And that's kind of how we differentiate ourselves, because the trips, they're tailored for one type of customer. We also offer recreational trips, but they're strictly recreational as well. That's the point.
Well, also thinking about it, it's kind of a, the logistics of everything in terms of, being anchored over the wreck is much easier. Yeah. Like, I mean, I would imagine that you just, because I did it from the boat. Yeah. So you get on a boat, and then you kind of wait for the rest of the group to, group up, and then you go back, and then you put your gear away, and then you go and have a shower and whatnot. Whereas on the liveaboard, also, you got a, your deco station below the boat, I guess, and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as you go straight up to your mothership, you sit your gear down, and you know, off you go. You're right there. Everything's there at your reach.
It's definitely something I'm very happy about, and that's not only saying for my customers, it's for myself as well. Because when I'm there as a trip leader and I'm actually diving, you kind of climb up the ladder. As soon as you come up, somebody's spraying you with fresh water. You know, your rig is clean in the first 30 seconds.
Do you
out of the water or clean? It's not the dirty dozen if you're.
Yeah. It goes straight from the toilet.
But yeah, you know, you put your rebreather away, and you know, the staff has already taken your deco cylinders, put them away. They're helping you out of your kit, giving you fresh juice, you know, a warm towel, and they whisk you into, you know, the dining room where they give you lots and lots of different food, great food, and then they throw you, you know, up on the couch with a movie and let you take a nap.
Well,
you know, that's in an air-conditioned room, you know, hanging out with the guys, watching movies. And it's just so easy. It's just like, it's a 30-meter boat, you know, and it used to be a millionaire's yacht, so it's not low standard. It's high quality, so it's a 5-star experience.
Well, it's better than the hotels I'm used to staying in.
It wouldn't surprise me, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, speaking of questions, I think we've been talking for quite some time, but I feel like there's so much more I want to discover about like bikini and stuff. So, if that's okay, I'll still move us back to bikini, and that's to talk about the fauna and what's happening there, because I saw this video of yours, and it was this like a huge tiger shark just like swimming by you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it was looking quite curious, let's say that, right?
Yeah, no, we definitely we had some seasons where the prevalence of tiger sharks was a lot bigger than others. It was circling the boat. My first dive on the Saratoga, I was exiting with Richard Lundgren, and we were diving across the flight deck, and that's when like a 3-4 meter tiger shark swam by us on the 6-meter gun. It's a moment I'll never forget. What I even more won't forget is being on the deco bar at 6 meters with the same tiger shark circling around the deco bar for 2 hours. That was less fun. But then, because they hang around, because the thing is, they're juvenile. They're not adults.
Curious.
They're very curious. They're just like, what's happening over here? I don't want to nibble from a tiger shark. so it's interesting. But obviously nothing has happened, and it's perfectly fine. But yeah, it's just funny. And we also have on certain wrecks, sometimes the reef sharks show up, and like you literally have to go like, get out of my way. There's like 60 of them like in a huddle, and you're just like, can you please? I'm
on CC now. I know. I don't bother you. Go away.
It's just, I don't know. It's such a unique environment, and it's so well protected because of its remoteness. Obviously, nobody is there, and that's, you know, some of the fascinating parts in the knowledge base. Because you mentioned the fauna, there's several PDFs going to be there, especially about is scientific research papers about how the resilient coral has recovered in Bikini, and it's spectacular down there. It's really, really, really beautiful.
And man, there's just like so much more than it meets the eye, and this is like, and this is just us talking about.
There's so many facets to it. I mean, if there's one thing I would recommend anybody watching this video is to watch the documentary Radio Bikini. It was nominated for an Academy Award in the 80s. And it's about Operation Crossroads. It's about the 40,000 people, servicemen that participated in the military experiment. And obviously all the poor Bikinians that were displaced and never to return because of the tests. A lot of the servicemen that had, you know, numerous cancers and everything.
Scraping the ashes, the radioactive ash of the decks of the ships in their bodies.
There's so many layers to this onion than great diving. And I can only speak for myself, coming from a pacifist nation, Iceland, living in a war grave like Truk or visiting Bikini. It certainly just changed as a relatively young man. It's just changed my outlook a little bit on the world than from before, when I don't know, I hadn't seen a firearm or whatever. It's a bit different.
No, and it's absolutely true, and also when you kind of, in those places, and you get to think about the age of the men that were serving on those ships. Mm-hmm. I mean, now we're talking more about Truk than Bikini, because Bikini was, more of a test. But like, it sometimes feels like that the issues that we deal with nowadays are just so insignificant, and that they're kind of like, just, every now and then kind of like you go back into that, and it's like, well, these guys were like, fighting the war. Like, I'm worrying about like this thing, like it's,
whenever I think I'm having a really bad day, I look up this guy on YouTube called Neil Halloran or something, and he's made this video called The Fallen of World War II. You should try and watch it. It'll put you in place.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's super interesting, but it's like, it just gives you the gravitas of the event. And the long peace that we're living in now, even though it doesn't feel peaceful, is very peaceful compared to those days.
Hey, so the Bikini, man, like we can go for like ages and ages, and I would like to go through like each individual wreck, and Nagato is like kind of like something that I would just love to dissect. And you told me that you've done some like really awesome penetrations on it.
And with my captain, me and Martin, Dirty Dozen co-founder, we go exploring together. It's always messy, but it's a lot of fun. It's always like this when the guys that started it, the two donkeys, go there. It's like
man, come on. I want to. Okay, so like honestly, this is like so right for every wreck nut. This is like what you want to do, and the number of people that have done this is just like minuscule, right?
And I could never afford this if it wasn't my job. We all have to save up for this for years just to be able to make it. So yeah, it's we're all very fortunate to be able to visit it. Luckily, now that we have a steady schedule going for years, once the pandemic is over, people can book 3 years in advance and give themselves plenty of time to get ready.
Come on, Aron.
Training and rest of it.
Come on, tell us, where have you been? How deep have you been inside of her? Nagato.
I'm not going to give anybody ideas. There's the worst thing you can do when you're in a position like me is to give somebody an intangible goal, because they're always going to see it or hear it somewhere, and then they're going to be, you have to show me, or I'm going to go find it myself, and that's where we have issues. So I don't kiss and tell, buddy.
That's good. That's you earn more respect that way. That's it's a good way of doing it. And I mean, setting boundaries for records is never good. And we're kind of sort of going like that in Divesoft too. We're sort of records. What's the point of setting records? I mean, like it's certainly the topic of the week. I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten in my inbox. I have to.
Because we had the TBI. We were in Dahab. We were there, and to a certain extent on the prep we were helping. But
I'm sure you would have gotten more than I did then.
No, there was quite a few. I lived in Dahab for 9 years, so it was somewhat of a controversy.
Well, we'll see what's going to happen. But
yes.
So in terms of the Rex and Nagato, it's just, I don't know. It's and it's just not you got the USS Arkansas, you got the Apagon, you've got the
yeah. Not to forget, the rest of them they're all fabulous,
but
and they carry so much of a backstory.
Let's leave those for next time.
Yeah.
And let's move into the next thing of the nuke talk, and that's Chernobyl. And that's like another can of worms, right? Because you've also in your repertoire or in your range of things that you do and offer is that you started running trips to Chernobyl. We were the guinea pigs, so we were the ones that had to get
completely selfish. I just wanted to go myself.
No, we just had to get drunk and see where the limits were. It was like, don't do this. That was Jacob who done that. I said, nah. Okay. So for next people, no, don't go there, mate. Don't go there.
So yeah, it was for the viewers. Me and Jacob, we went to Chernobyl together. I think you actually have quite a few photos. You can maybe do a bit of show and tell, and tell people about the time where you almost pissed your pants inside the power plant.
Well, so Chernobyl with Aron Arngrimsson. The trip starts in Kiev, where Aron's based now. Kiev is absolutely incredible place. It's honestly well worth a visit. And usually, I normally because I live in Prague. Prague's absolutely incredible. I give people around 4. Normally, cities are usually a day or two-day thing. Prague is super special. And Kiev is really awesome too. So weekend is definitely not enough to visit, and that's where you start. And there is the food is incredible, the culture is incredible, and that's just the beginning of it. And then you get picked up by Aron. Okay, so it's a bit of a downer. But then
I'll share the screen now because I actually got a few albums here. Until you share the screen.
Oh, okay. But
so
obviously,
this, yeah.
Because for some reason Aron gets followed by a great company.
Yeah, you got Auntie there. You got Jacob.
In my case, it was it's me, still not pooping my pants. I'm still okay.
Yeah, still no hair.
And on the right, that's Antti Apunen, and on the left is Igor Sirik, and on the right is Alex, our guide with the driest humor ever.
Yeah,
I loved his quote, and which was, we were sitting in a car, and Aron's in the front seat, and Aron everybody's having a talk, and Alex, our tour guide who's been touring people around Chernobyl for like 14 years, goes to Aron goes to him. Yeah, I've got some experience with environments that have been hit by radiation. He was like, okay, what is your experience? He's like, well, I've been to Bikini Atoll like 4 times. I was like, oh, please don't contaminate my area.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's a good starter.
No, but it was he's great. Like
some of these photos. You took this photo, huh? You took a lot of good photos, actually.
Thanks, man.
Can you see them?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So basically, now you start in Kiev. Kiev's absolutely amazing. You start in Kiev, do your travel around Kiev, depending on how much time you've allocated for that, and then Chernobyl is located about an hour and a half. I think it's northwest of Kiev.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
And you start driving towards it, and like right from the beginning, you just start feeling a little weird because you're going to this like a weird zone, that's Pripyat. Yep, and you get to a checkpoint in about an hour and a half, which is basically the checkpoint to the exclusion zone, which is. I don't know it from the top of my head, but I think that the radius is like 10 kilometers. 30?
Yeah.
Is it 30? Okay. And that's like where the most contaminated area is. So it takes a bit of a while to kind of like, sit down. They take you through the, safety checks, whatnot, show you what the types of radiation protection gear you can wear and all that kind of stuff. And and then you get into your car. And you start going. At this stage, by the way, you don't see the Chernobyl nuclear plant. even when I was going and like landing at Kiev, I was sort of hoping I'm going to look, because when you look on the map, the power plant and like Chernobyl, it's fairly close. It's really close. Like, I mean, if you were on a different flight path, you may be even able to see it and see the new safety confinement. And then, so when you're on land, you cannot see it until you get fairly close to it. But the thing is, though, it's once you. So our first stop was in Pripyat, which obviously whoever has seen or knows a little bit about Chernobyl or has seen the HBO TV series. Pripyat's been the town that, you know, that had about 50,000 people living in it and got completely evacuated, and those people have never returned back. And to get to Pripyat itself, in front of the town, there's another checkpoint where you can go to the bathroom, you can wash your hands, you can sanitize yourself, and then you drive in. But the Chernobyl experience itself, it's so weird because the normal things that we do in our life that we're used to just doing, you're not allowed to do that. So you are not allowed to sit anywhere. You got to be careful about what you're touching. You don't want to grab any dust anywhere, really, or, you know, just got to be careful with any sort of stuff like that, because you don't know if it was...
You should maybe wear a mask. You know, it sounds like not something we never do these days.
Yeah, well, actually, you're right. We're kind of
like
getting
completely pre-COVID, and now it's like the same.
well, sort of in a way too. Yeah, you're right. And you're not allowed to drink outside, and you're not allowed to eat outside of the vehicle. And you start walking around and you start realizing that the things that we're used to doing every day are actually pretty hard to unlearn. So, hey, this is actually, when you go back, this is not what we've done, but that's the, when you go back one shot, that's the control room of the...
Yeah, we're actually offering it. We're actually offering it now. You can actually go there, and I'll be going on the next trip. And that's going to be very exciting. Actually, since we got this up, they need to see this. I think it's that moment where we can see your face, you know.
Man, like, honestly, I have. So that's Igor walking.
That's Auntie going in.
This is the golden corridor where. See the floor? It's like super like old school. Oh my god. That's Auntie.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was, and at the end of the corridor was the door to Unit 4, and that's where you gave that gaping look.
Man, honestly,
see the second video here.
I was so scared.
It was so funny. I was laughing the entire
Geiger
time.
Counter going off. So those Geiger counters, basically for everybody else, they as you know, they measure radiation, but the alarm that they when they start beeping is basically based on what you preset in the unit. So you can preset a low, you know, threshold for the unit, and it just starts beeping when the radiation goes up a bit higher. And when you walk through the nuclear power plant, you basically there are hotspots. So most of the time you're normal within standard range of radiation. And I think it's really important to also mention that we spent 2 days in Chernobyl or in that area, including the power plant tour.
Sure. Yeah.
And you do not get you do not get a bigger radiation dose than what you would have got by flying over the Atlantic on the aircraft.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
when we fly on the aircraft, the radiation actually triples.
Yeah. And while you explain that, I'm just going to go and get something very important, and I'll be right back.
Are you going to take, or are you going to give? Okay. So, as you have probably noticed, I'm not a nuclear physicist, but the radiation does triple. Obviously, our atmosphere shields the Earth from the gravitation from the space, and the higher we get, the atmosphere gets thinner. Therefore, we get less shielding against the radiation coming from the space.
Have you gone all science on us? You know, like 4 whiskeys in. What's happening here?
This is as scientific as it's going to get, buddy. But obviously, as higher as we fly, the more of the radiation we get exposed to. So on the aircraft, I think it's about triple to what we're getting while we're on Earth. So on a 2-day trip to Chernobyl, including a visit of Vladimir Ilyich nuclear power plant, you don't get a higher dose than what you would get if you were on the aircraft flying over the Atlantic. And you actually do get a dosimeter or a Geiger counter that measures your gradual accumulation of radiation over the time.
Yes. Yeah.
So everything is super safe.
But I just want to pull home one point that's really important for the next trip, because obviously you guys were guinea pigs. You know, doesn't matter so much what happens to you guys after the trip. I just want to let the customers at home know that we are taking your safety to a whole new level. We've bought the state-of-the-art 2021 equipment ready for the new season in Chernobyl. Are you ready for this, Jakub?
I'm ready. I'm ready to take it to the next level. Okay.
Oh.
Man, is this measuring to 3.6 Rontgens or? No way. No, hang on. This one goes to 5 Rontgens.
Yeah. And it's hilarious. It works. I've just put batteries in it. I was calibrating it.
Hey,
it's from the 60s.
What sort of batteries do you put in that thing?
D batteries. So I have a Dirty Dozen member, which I cannot disclose by name, that sent these to me from the United States, from a stockpile that was from the Cold War. I have 2 boxes in my house. These are collectibles now, but they're pretty amazing. Yeah. But of course, we're going to have modern devices that cost hundreds of dollars, but we're going to take these with us as a novelty, just for fun.
So if I may, speaking of the safety, basically you are accumulating some sort of radiation that you're being monitored. So you're always with a guide. You're never allowed to roam around on your own. And Alex, our tour guide, is super switched on. And as I mentioned, his experience, which if I remember it correctly, was about 14 years guiding people around. He was super safe. I'm going to share a screen here. And we have basically... so when you do leave Chernobyl, you're going to have to go through scanners. So those scanners scan you for how much radiation you've accumulated, or if you don't have radioactive particles on you. Mm-hmm. Same thing depends to any vehicle that you're traveling in. Basically, you have to disembark the vehicle. You got to go through the scanners. You get a full-on check. So basically, in this thing, you stand up there. You put your arms on the top parts, and you get, I think it's over 20 points on your body that gets scanned for radiation.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So this gets taken pretty seriously, but the radiation is quite,
but it's
minor.
also just Alex is just so good. He would say, "Don't step there, don't go there." Like when other people were standing on top of something that was very hot. It's like walking around an invisible forest fire, and he's like the guide that can guide you through it. If you have some 17-year-old that's on her summer job, taking 50 tourists through, I don't think she'll know where to walk. But Alex has been there for 15 years. He knows where to walk.
So when you arrive in Pripyat, there's kind of like a sort of a one-way road that gets there, and you stop here. And on your right, there is this big block of flats. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but on that left-hand side, around the middle, there was the apartment of the leader, or sorry for the lack of a word, but the person who was running the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, this was one of his flats that he was given by the Communist Party.
Yeah.
And that's where he was. So that's the first thing you see. On the bottom there's this booth, but I've got this picture here, which is when I show this to people usually tend to really like it, and that's so this building that I just showed you would be on your left, and you're basically looking down, which would be this like a main street, and under normal circumstances, and this is what it looks like now. So it's tremendous how the nature just takes over everything.
It's funny you say that, because we're obviously getting into the winter here, or the fall, but Alex keeps telling me, like, you need to come spend more time in the zone in the winter, because it's a completely different beast, because you don't have all the leaves, all the vegetation around. It's bare naked, so you can see a lot better like how the zone is in that sense. It's interesting.
And I also think that the experience that you get from being at the place like this is unlike anything else. There's only a few places in the world where right now you can experience something like this, and there's like a complete decay of what happens if you leave something, just to the nature for 40 years. It's really everything starts falling apart. The nature takes over. We were walking past blocks of apartments where the trees were just growing out of the balconies, and it'll be like level 6, and this is the famous Ferris wheel. You go right underneath it, but the super interesting thing about it is that you've got hotspots. So you could be standing here where I've taken this shot from, and it's all good, and you've got a radiation 0.7 microsievert, and it's slightly higher than what you're getting in a city, but it's all absolutely fine. But then you would have a hotspot, and for example, where this guy walking in black, he could be walking over a part where this is actually the part where a lot of the helicopters were landing, and they were washing the helicopters off, and there was a lot of radiation there, and some of the radiation got washed off, but some of it didn't. And
that's why there was the cap, and it was really going off, remember?
Exactly. Yeah, we were just walking towards a building, and he was just like, "Stop there! Don't step there." And then he would put his
that video somewhere.
Geiger counter to this metal plate, and he just started freaking out. So
it was showing incredible numbers. It was insane.
It was crazy, yeah. So you got the Dodgem cars. And I actually watched those videos on YouTube, and there's those guys that just wander around, like there's those parkour dudes.
Yeah.
And they just wander around.
This was really beautiful. I really enjoyed the theater.
This was a theater, but as you can see on the floor, this is all decaying and all is deteriorating very severely. So you really have to mind your step and look at where you're stepping. This was I think this was the hotel. So this used to be like a main square, and now you can see the trees have just grown through the concrete. This is a library in a school. You can see obviously things have fallen down. The thing with Chernobyl is obviously everybody got evacuated, but the soldiers were maintaining the area so that people wouldn't come back. But some people were allowed to come back to take other things, from their possession into their apartments for very limited time. So the people haven't just left and nobody came back ever. They were allowed to come back for a split of a time, but it was very, very short time. And you can see it's very eerie in bits. There is Aron, which, made the situation even eerier. And you've got a shop like that where this is all good, the radiation is all within the levels, and then Alex would told you don't go through that left door because the radiation there is it's nuts, and they must have been washing something very, very radioactive there, and the radiation just stayed there. We got to go around. it's so this till machine is one of the good communism tricks is like get something made out in the this was actually made in Sweden, but they put Soviet Union markings on it, and it was a Soviet made till machine. This was so this is what the street looks like. So normally you would, so this is what you walk through. We went in September, so it was obviously autumn, but you got a block of apartments on the right and left. And this used to be a normal street with no trees at all. And now it's, you can just see the entry on the right where it's, everything is overgrown.
Okay, so that was super interesting to see. So what do you think? Should we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's wrap this up, dude. I think we've been on for a while, and whoever's listening still now probably wants to find out more. So let us know down in comments. Let Aron know.
I think I'll be online. This is pre-recorded, but I'll be online tomorrow night. I can answer in comments if anybody has any questions about anything we're talking about. And if anybody wants to find out more about the trips or anything else on the website, just www.dirtydozenexpeditions.com, and you'll and just get in touch with me on Facebook or email and whatever, and happy to answer anything you have. Yeah,
for sure. And we can carry on with this. I've got if anybody else is also interested in going to Bikini or going to Truk again, or maybe doing it differently like myself. I did Bikini on OC, and now since I've been a CCI diver for some time, I want to go back and get some
Truk on OC, yeah.
Truk.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Truk. I mean Truk.
I was gonna say, like, what?
Yeah. If you want to get some like proper bottom time on the wrecks, Aron is a guy to talk to.
And they should probably keep their eyes open or ears open, because there might be something with Divesoft and Dirty Dozen in the future. Who knows? Now at least the idea is lingered.
Maybe there is lots of stuff coming out from both our ways. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. We've got basically COVID hasn't slowed us down. We've been working like really hard, and we're just getting busier and busier. We've got a whole lot more stuff coming out, and stuff that we're going to be bringing out soon. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to carry on with this thing.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers. Thanks so much for watching. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good time. Thanks, guys.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.